Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. That is our lecture number 3 on P6 Advanced Taxation. Book page 8. Actually, in first two lectures, we have just discussed how to calculate income tax liability, and we are continuing that topic. Just I need to bring something, few more concepts. Okay. How do we actually calculate income tax liability? We have non-saving income, then we've got saving income, and finally that is dividend income. And one more column which we use is total income. Okay. A very important point is when it comes to utilizing the personal allowance, which is 12,500, the normal sequence of utilizing personal allowance is you need to deduct personal allowance first from non-saving income. Still personal allowance is left, then the remaining personal allowance will be deducted from saving income, and still just assume that personal allowance is still left, because it is possible that your saving income is very less, your non-saving income is still is very less, and still personal allowance is left, then you are going to deduct personal allowance from dividend income. That is a normal sequence of utilizing the personal allowance. First non-saving, then saving, and finally that is dividend income. This is the normal sequence of utilizing the personal allowance. But HMRC, they do allow you to change the sequence if it is beneficial for that particular individual. By changing personal allowance allocation, if you can save tax, go ahead. HMRC will not restrict you that you have to first deduct from non-saving, then saving, and then go for dividend. No. If you want to change the sequence, you can change the sequence, provided that change in allocation of personal allowance must save tax for that individual, then it is acceptable. So what is the another possibility of utilizing the personal allowance? Non-saving income will remain same. First you have to deduct personal allowance from non-saving income, but after that you can go for dividend income and then come to saving income. Now there is only one question. The question is, how do I know that after non-saving income I am not supposed to deduct remaining personal allowance from saving income? Instead of saving income, I need to go to dividend income. How do I know this? And what is the hint that I am not supposed to deduct remaining personal allowance from saving income? Instead of saving income, I should go for dividend income. Let me give you the hint. After deducting personal allowance from non-saving income, if your saving income result, if your saving income total amount falls under starting rate band, then there is no need to deduct personal allowance from saving income, because if the entire amount of saving income falls in a starting rate band falling in a starting rate band means you are technically paying no tax, because in a starting rate band in saving income the tax rate is 0%. So whenever you come across a question where after deducting personal allowance from non-saving income, you are left with personal allowance number 1, and number 2, saving income amount, entire amount falls in starting rate band, then please do not deduct remaining personal allowance from saving income, then you directly go to dividend income. Let us apply this question, this concept, this rule on questions. Look at question number 6. Question number 6. Calculate Bernard's income tax liability for the tax year 2021. Allocate the personal allowance to the different sources of income in the most beneficial order. We have pension income. Pension income comes in non-saving income. We have saving income. We have dividend income. Let us solve this question number 6. Non-saving, saving, dividend and total. Pension income comes in saving income. Oh, pension income comes in non-saving income. Pension income comes in non-saving income. So we have non-saving income 7,500, saving income we have 5,000, and dividend income is 12,000. Let me use the calculator. 7,500 plus 5,000 plus 12,000, 24,500. Personal allowance. First I have to deduct the personal allowance from non-saving income. Now look at this. Still I have left with some of the amount in personal allowance. But now I am not supposed to deduct personal allowance from saving income. Why? Look at the amount of saving income. Number 1, the total of non-saving income after deducting personal allowance is 0, which means that I have a starting rate band for saving income, and total of saving income is just 5,000, and entire 5,000 actually falls in a starting rate band where the tax rate is 0%. So deducting personal allowance from saving income, actually we are not going to save any tax. So it is highly advisable whenever you come across a situation where your saving income falls in, entire saving income falls in a starting rate band, then do not deduct the personal allowance from saving income. Then you deduct the personal allowance from dividend income. The remaining personal allowance should be deducted from dividend income. So 12,500 less 7,500. So remaining personal allowance should be deducted from dividend income, not saving income. So saving income is 0 or non-saving income is 0. We have to first tax the saving income. An entire saving income falls in starting rate band. So starting rate band, saving income, 5,000 into 0% comes to 0. For dividend income, we know that first 2,000 of dividend income falls in nil rate band. So nil rate band of dividend income is 2,000. So from this 7,000, if I deduct 2,000, I'm still left with 5,000 in dividend income. That falls in basic rate band. In basic rate band for dividend income, the tax rate is 7.5%. 5,000 into 7.5%, it comes to 375. So your income tax liability is just 375. Your income tax liability is 375. Okay, I'm just solving this question in a normal sequence of utilizing the personal allowance, just to show you that why change in allocating the personal allowance is beneficial for you. For example, if any one of us solve the same question by using the normal sequence of personal allowance, will end up, to be very honest, by paying more than 375. Like, you're not supposed to solve the question again in exam. I'm just solving this for a proof that change in the sequence of allocating personal allowance is beneficial actually. Pension income comes in non-saving income, saving is 5,000 and this is 12. Altogether it was 24,500. If a student deducts personal allowance first from non-saving, I'm perfectly fine. But there is any one of us deducts the remaining personal allowance from saving income. Obviously, it's not a good tax planning. Let us see how much tax then we are going to pay. Now, we have just dividend, we need to tax dividend income, and the amount of the dividend income is 12,000. Nil rate band, dividend income 2,000 into 0% is obviously 0. Then basic rate band of dividend income 10,000 into 7.5%. Look at this, it is 750. It is 750. So how much tax you are paying? 750. And over here, when I change the allocation, your tax is 375, which is actually the 50% of 750. So that is a proof that you don't go for this personal allowance sequence. So change in personal allowance sequence is beneficial for you. It can be seen over here. So all you need is just remember one point. Whenever you come across a question where after deducting personal allowance from non-saving income you get 0, number 1, and number 2, entire saving income amount falls in the starting rate band, then please change the sequence of personal allowance. Then after deducting personal allowance from non-saving income, you directly need to go to dividend income. Let us apply this on question 7 as well. Question 7. I really want you people to stop the video over here and try question 7 by yourself. So that you can check yourself. Are you in a position to understand what I really want to teach you? So I want you to stop the video and try question number 7, and then you can obviously continue with the video. I strongly believe that you have tried question number 7 and now you are looking at my video. Non-saving income, saving income, dividend income and total. So employment income is a non-saving income. Saving income is a saving income and dividend income is obviously dividend income. Let us add them together. The total is 23,000. Personal allowance. First, I have to deduct the personal allowance from non-saving income. After that, look at the amount of saving income. Number 1. The total of non-saving income is 0, which means that starting rate band is there for you. Second, 4,200 of saving income, this entire amount falls in starting rate band where the tax rate is 0%. And starting rate band is only applicable on saving income. Since 4,200 falls in starting rate band where the tax rate is 0%, so please do not deduct remaining personal allowance from saving income. Now you are supposed to deduct the remaining personal allowance from dividend income. So 12,500 minus 6,800, I'm left with 5,700. So your taxable income is 6,300. Now let us calculate income tax. Starting rate band, saving income, 4,200 into 0% obviously gives us 0. For dividend income, first we'll get nil rate band. Dividend income 2,000. First 2,000 of dividend income always falls in nil rate band. Basic rate band, dividend income. We have dividend income of 6,300. Out of this 6,300, 2,000 falls in nil rate band, so we are left with 4,300. In basic rate band, the tax rate is 7.5% for dividend income. It comes to 322.5, or you can write 323. It is acceptable. So your income tax liability is 323. Okay, now I strongly believe that you have a really clear idea of when do you need to change the sequence of allocating the personal allowance. But you have to make sure when you are changing the sequence of personal allowance, it must be beneficial for that individual. And beneficial for that individual means obviously tax should be saved. Then obviously it is beneficial. It is written over here also. Allocation of personal allowance. For majority of individuals, it will be most beneficial to deduct the personal allowance from non-saving income first, then deducting any remaining personal allowance from saving income, and finally dividend income. However, the tax legislation requires personal allowance to be offset in the most beneficial manner, which may mean deducting personal allowance from different sources of income in a different order. For example, offsetting personal allowance against dividend income prior to saving income. This may be necessary in order to take advantage of saving rate nil rate band or the starting rate band for saving income. So question number 6 and 7 both give us a really good understanding of this concept of changing the allocation of personal allowance and saving the tax. Now let me explain what is this marriage allowance. Obviously for marriage allowance, marriage is must, or otherwise you won't be getting the marriage allowance. So one more concept we are discussing, and one more rule we are discussing is marriage allowance. What is marriage allowance? I'll tell you, but in order to get the marriage allowance, marriage is must. Okay. In case of husband and wife, number one, both are basic rate taxpayer. Both are what? So both are basic rate taxpayers. If husband and wife both are basic rate taxpayers, then one of them can transfer 10% of personal allowance to another partner. Repeat. When they are going to get marriage allowance, the condition for getting marriage allowance is, obviously marriage is there, but another condition is both husband and wife both must be basic rate taxpayer. Both must be basic rate taxpayer. Basic rate taxpayer means their taxable income should not exceed the basic rate band limit, which is 37,500. When both are basic rate taxpayer, in that case, 10% of personal allowance can be transferred between the partners. So one partner can transfer its 10% of personal allowance to another partner. Now the question comes in our mind that actually which partner is going to transfer 10% of its personal allowance to another partner? Obviously the partner which does not have the income to utilize his or her entire personal allowance. Obviously that partner is going to transfer its 10% of personal allowance to another partner. So any one of them is not in a position to utilize his or her personal allowance fully, then that partner is going to transfer 10% of the personal allowance to another partner. But let me clear one thing. Husband and wife both must be basic rate taxpayer. Another thing is, you can only transfer exactly 10% of the personal allowance to another partner. You cannot transfer less than 10%. You cannot transfer more than 10%. You can't do that. It is fixed. You can only transfer 10% of the personal allowance. Sometimes the student think, let us transfer less than that. You cannot do that. You can only transfer exactly 10% of the personal allowance to another partner. Okay? You cannot transfer less than 10%, you cannot transfer more than 10%. How marriage allowance works? Let us see a question. Question number 8. And my book is also having a page 8. It's just a coincidence. It's not a concept. It says calculate Kevin's and Jody's income tax liability for the tax year 2021. Okay. Kevin and Jody are married. Great. Kevin is employed, earns a salary of 35,000 per annum. Jody spent most of her time looking out after their 2 children, but works on Saturday, earnings an annual salary of 6,000. Obviously, Jody is not in a position to utilize its personal allowance fully, so it is highly advisable for Jody to transfer 10% of the personal allowance to Kevin. They do not have any other income, so that was also a condition that husband and wife both must be basically taxpayer, which is met in this question. Jody makes an election to transfer the marriage allowance to Kevin. So Jody is making the election to transfer 10% of the personal allowance to Kevin. So actually Jody's liability is going to be 0 because Jody is having a salary of only 6,000 and from this 6 I deduct the personal allowance of 6, so obviously 0. Jody does not need to pay anything because Jody does not have any taxable income. All we need is just calculate taxable income for Kevin and income tax liability for Kevin. Let us see. Question 8. Let's calculate income tax liability. Income tax liability for Kevin. Kevin is having a salary of 35,000. Just deduct personal allowance 12,500. Obviously, one small point comes in a student's mind that you have just told us that Jody is transferring 10% of the personal allowance to Kevin. So why you have not increased personal allowance for Kevin? So wait for that. I'll give you the answer of this question. Why I did not increase personal allowance for Kevin? So it is the taxable income. The entire taxable income of Kevin obviously falls in basic rate band. Let's calculate income tax liability. Basic rate band, non-saving income, 22,500 into 20% comes to what? 4,500. Now the question is still there. The question is, Jody has made the election for marriage allowance, but sir, you have not increased personal allowance for Kevin. Okay, let me clear now. Number 1, whenever marriage allowance is being claimed, you are not supposed to increase the personal allowance for another partner. Okay, then what I am going to do, all you need is just deduct marriage allowance relief. How do we calculate marriage allowance relief? Look at this. The personal allowance is 12,500. You have to take 10% of this and then just multiply with 20%. All you need is just deduct marriage allowance relief. Automatically you are going to save the tax. 12,500 into 10% into 20, 250. So actually, income tax liability for Kevin is not 4,500. Income tax liability for Kevin is 4,250. So let me repeat. Whenever marriage allowance is being claimed, you are not supposed to increase personal allowance of recipient partner. All you need is just calculate income tax liability in a normal manner for recipient partner, and after calculating its normal income tax liability, you just need to deduct marriage allowance relief. And how do we calculate marriage allowance relief? Let me write this in a formula. Marriage allowance relief. Take the personal allowance, 10% of the personal allowance, and then just multiply this with 20%. So you will get marriage allowance relief, and deduct this marriage allowance relief from the income tax liability of recipient partner. So this is the presentation which you have to follow. You do not have any choice. So for marriage allowance, what was necessary? One is obviously marriage, another is husband and wife both must be basic rate taxpayer. Both must be basic rate taxpayer. Okay. Now let us discuss one more concept relating to personal allowance. We all know that personal allowance is 12,500 for tax year 2021. Even in the previous year it was same. Now one more concept, one more rule I want to introduce is when actually this personal allowance is going to be reduced. Repeat. Every individual in UK gets personal allowance of 12,500 per tax year. But actually in UK, the objective of giving personal allowance to the individual is to support those individuals. They are not earning, they are not very wealthy. But obviously in every society you will find very rich people as well. So HMRC, they came up with a concept. Why should we give benefit to the richies? If some of the people they are really rich, they should not be getting the benefit from the personal allowance. So just not to give the benefit of personal allowance to the richies, HMRC has come with a solution. And we are going to study that rule when actually personal allowance is going to be reduced. Look at this. Whenever adjusted net income is more than 1 lakh, personal allowance reduces. Now there are two questions. Number one, how do we calculate adjusted net income? And second, how personal allowance reduces? Okay, let me give you answer of these two questions. The first question was, how do we calculate adjusted net income? And the second question is, what is actually a formula? By using that formula we reduce personal allowance. Let us first see the format of adjusted net income. All you need is first take the net income, and from this net income you need to deduct gross gift aid donation. You need to deduct gross personal pension contribution. And we call it PPC also. So whatever comes, this is your adjusted net income. This is your adjusted net income. adjusted net income. So from net income you need to deduct gross gifted donation, which is not in the syllabus of P6 ATX. PPC is in your syllabus, yes. After maybe 1 or 2 lectures we are going to study entire topic on pension, inshallah. So after deducting PPC you will get adjusted net income. If this adjusted net income is more than 1 lakh, then your personal allowance reduces. How it reduces? Look at this. Personal allowance is 12,500. Adjusted net income, you need to minus 1 lakh, then 1 upon 2. So personal allowance can be 0, it cannot be negative. Minimum personal allowance is going to be 0, but personal allowance cannot turn into be negative. It means one more thing. What is that? Whenever adjusted net income is greater than equal to 1,25,000, then personal allowance will be 0. Whenever your adjusted net income is equal to greater than 1,25,000, your personal allowance will be 0. Because if adjusted net income is 125, if I deduct 1 lakh from this, 1 upon 2, this is going to result in 12,500. Obviously, if I deduct 12,500 from personal allowance, I will get answer 0. So whenever you come across a question where your adjusted net income is either 1,25,000 or more than that, obviously your personal allowance will be 0. Okay. Now what is this gross PPC? Actually, in UK, there are 2 pension plans. One is occupational pension plan. We are going to study that also. For example, if you are working in any organization and your employer runs the pension plan and you contribute in that plan, that is called occupational pension plan. But obviously, you will find many employers, they are not running any pension plan for their employees. And there are many individuals, they are not employees, they are self-employed. They are self-employed people. So, there is another concept of personal pension contribution, like you can take for yourself insurance policies. If any individual in UK contributes in personal pension plan, then according to HMRC, whatever you have contributed in PPC, it will be treated as 80%. Repeat. If any individual contributes in personal pension plan, then whatever you have contributed according to HMRC, it will be considered as 80%. And rest of the 20% will be paid by HMRC, number 1. Number 2, what HMRC is going to do, they are going to gross up your PPC amount. For example, let's say you have contributed 8,000 in PPC, but according to HMRC, they are going to gross it up. All I need is just multiply with 100 and divide with 80. I'm going to get 10,000. With this gross PPC, your basic rate band and higher rate band limits will increase. With gross PPC, basic rate band and higher rate bands limits will increase. So actually, what are the benefits? If somebody is going to ask you people, then what are the benefits of PPC? The number 1 benefit is whatever you contribute, it is 80%, 20% will be paid by HMRC. The second benefit is with gross PPC, your basic and high rate band will increase. And the third benefit is with gross PPC. With gross PPC, your adjusted net income will reduce. And if due to gross PPC, your adjusted net income goes to 1 lakh or below 1 lakh, it means you are not wasting any personal allowance. So there are actually 3 benefits of contributing in PPC. If somebody is asking us what are the advantages of contributing in PPC, the one is 20% is paid by HMRC. The second benefit is your basic rate band limit, which is 37,500, it will be increased with gross PPC amount. Your higher rate band limit is 1,50,000, it will also be increased by gross PPC amount. And the third benefit of PPC is it actually reduces your ANI. It reduces ANI. If due to PPC, your adjusted net income gets to 1 lakh or below than 1 lakh, it means you are not wasting any personal allowance. So these are the 3 benefits of contributing in PPC. 20% is paid by HMRC. Second benefit is with gross PPC, basic and high rate band limits will increase. And third benefit is gross PPC actually reduces your ANI. And if you get ANI 1 lakh or below than 1 lakh, it means your personal allowance will not be wasted. And let me tell you a very interesting point. A very interesting point is, if someone is, for example, Mr. X is having income of 1 lakh, and assuming Mr. X is having income of 1,25,000. Actually, if Mr. X is having income of 1 lakh and the same person is having income of 1,25,000, if Mr. X is having income of 1,25,000 instead of 1 lakh, then we are going to advise Mr. X that please contribute in PPC. By contributing in PPC, you are going to save tax. And effectively, Mr. X when he is having an income of 1,25,000. So, interestingly, if Mr. X contributes in PPC, so Mr. X is not going to save tax 20%, 40%. In fact, Mr. X in this situation is going to save 60% tax. Now, obviously, the question pops in my student mind is that, sir, in UK, we have tax of either 20%, 40 or 45. If the tax rates are either 20, 40 and 45, then how it is possible that someone is having income of 1,25,000 and if that person contributes into PPC, that person is going to save actually, effectively the tax of 60%. Because the student thinks that there is no tax rate, there is no such tax rate of 60%. Then how it is possible that Mr. X is going to save tax 60%? I will prove this, inshallah. That if someone is having income of 1,25,000, then this individual must contribute in PPC, and by contributing in PPC, this person is going to save tax by 60%. So I'll prove this after the namaz break, not now. Okay, let me now prove if someone is having an income of 1,25,000 instead of 1 lakh, then effectively the tax rate is actually 60%. And by contributing in PPC, that particular individual is going to save 60% tax. Let's try this. Mr. X is having, let's say, 1 lakh non-saving income. And the same individual is having 1,25,000 non-saving income. Okay. Personal allowance 12,500. Over here it's going to be 0. So taxable income. If let me use my calculator, even though I really love maths, but I want to use my calculator. Now let us calculate income tax liability. 37,500 into 20% gives us 7,500. The same applies here. $87,500 deduct 37,500. If I deduct 37,500 from 87,500, I get 50,000. Tax rate is 40%. It becomes 20. 1,25,000 minus 37,500 gives me 87,500, and the tax rate is 40%. It comes to 35,000. Income tax liability is 27,500, and over here income tax liability is 42,500. Great. If, for example, Mr. X is having income of 1 lakh, then the income tax liability is 27,500. And if Mr. X is having income of 1,25,000, then Mr. X is going to have income tax liability of 42,500, which means that, look at this. What is the difference between these two income tax liabilities? The difference is of 15,000. If Mr. X is having 1 lakh income, then income tax liability is 27,500. If the same individual is having income of 1,25,000, then the tax is 42,500. So there is a difference in the income tax liability is 15,000. Okay, but look at here. What is the difference in the income? Income is 1 lakh, income is 125. So difference in the income is 25,000, which means that just due to this 25,000 additional income, logically Mr. X is paying additional income tax of 15,000, which means that effective tax rate, effective income tax rate on that additional 25,000 is 60%. It is 60%. Look at this. In UK, the tax rates are actually 20, 40 and 45. But logically, the effective tax rate between 1 lakh and 125 is 60%. That is why I told you, if someone is having income of 1,25,000, obviously we need to advise that person should contribute in PPC. The benefit would be, they will be actually saving 60% tax, because it can be clearly seen over here, just on this additional 25,000 income, Mr. X is going to pay actually additional 15,000 tax. So effective tax rate between 1 lakh to 125,000 income is 60%. So that is what I really wanted to prove, that if individual is having income of 1 lakh and the same individual is having income of 1,25,000 and that individual is not contributing in BPC, then effectively that individual is paying 60% tax on additional 25,000 income. Okay. Now let's deal with the questions. I just wanted to tell you about this effective rate of 60%. Let's see a question. Do we have a question? Right now we don't have a question. Let me give you a question. For example, if I tell you that adjusted net income is 1,20,000, then what would be the personal allowance? It's very easy to calculate. Let me first write personal allowance 12,500. Then directly I have been given adjusted net income 1,20,000. So just deduct 120 minus 1 lakh into 1 upon 10,000. So now this individual will not have the personal allowance of 12,500. This individual is going to enjoy the personal allowance of only 2,500. As I told you before, the objective of introducing this concept is that personal allowance is going to reduce only for those individuals they have got deep pockets. Only for those individuals they are richies. They should not get the benefit from personal allowance. So whoever is having adjusted net income more than 1 lakh, personal allowance starts reducing for those individuals. Okay. In next video, what I am going to do, we are going to work more on this adjusted net income, and I am going to introduce little bit more concept like if husband and wife they have got jointly owned asset, how do we tax the income which comes from a jointly owned asset. Another concept which we are going to introduce is income of a minor, and a little bit more concept. And after discussing these 2 to 3 more concepts, we will start our first property income proper topic. And after property income, inshallah, we'll go for employment income as well. So from here onwards, inshallah, you will start getting regularly videos. Don't worry at all. All you need is just focus on the lectures. And during the lecture, I'm going to explain each and everything, how to use my notes, and all these areas will be discussed during the lectures. So right now, you just need to focus 100% on the lectures. So thank you very much for watching this video. Assalamu alaikum.